When people come talk to me, I just don't sit around and talk about basketball all day. I can bring all different avenues to a conversation or to a business or to anything else to help me grow and get to where I got to go. So it's basketball uses you, and then you got to find a way to use it.
Welcome back to Beyond the Buzzer, the podcast that examines the relationship between adversity, balance, and success for high-performance athletes. I'm Aboudi Al-Qattan.
And I'm Sam Douglas. And today, we've got a great one lined up for you guys.
Today is our last episode of Season 1, and we're joined by Alex McClean, who is known all over the world for both his basketball ability and his entrepreneurial prowess.
He just finished up a stunt with the Washington Wizards, where he was a director of player development, and he's already getting ready to take his player development talent across the globe. Alex's portfolio spans gaming, real estate, consulting, hospitality. So we know he'll have a great insight for us today.
From setting up ventures in London, Dubai, and Zimbabwe, he's the living embodiment of what it means to live life beyond the buzzer. And we're blessed to have him on the podcast today.
Alex, did we really miss anything?
Nah, you didn't miss anything, man. You guys got it.
Good. Welcome to the show, Alex. We're excited to have you.
Thanks for having me, man.
Welcome, baby. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited to be with my guys and see my guy Sam and Aboudi build this relationship with you. I really appreciate you guys having me.
No, we're excited. Listen, the way we warm up on our podcast is a section called the shot clock.
Cool.
It's going to be 3 minutes. You're going to hear a buzzer in the background. The idea is we're going to ask you a bunch of questions, quick fire, give us some short answers. We'll get through as many as we can in 3 minutes, and then we'll dive into the main interview.
Let's go.
All right?
Yeah.
Alex, what's been the highlight of your career so far?
Watching some of my youngest talents achieve their abilities, especially on the women's side, believe it or not. Seeing some of the young ones turn pro and be high-level college players.
Who was your sporting hero growing up?
Michael Jordan.
Best New York handle, Sham God or Rafer Alston?
Sham, that's my man. There ain't no question.
Is there a movie where you know every word to it?
Paid in full.
Best country you played in had the best food?
Lebanon.
Best player you ever played with?
Ooh. That's tough. There's so many. KD, maybe. Crazy.
What's your go-to cheat meal?
Donuts, glazed donuts.
Ooh, I like
Yes, sir. You have any secret phobias?
Claustrophobic.
Any hidden talent?
I could play 10 instruments.
Do you have a morning routine?
Morning walk, salt water.
Who's winning the NBA championship this year?
That's tough. I'm going with the West. Going with the West Coast.
What artist would you listen to get in the mood before a big game?
That's tough. 50 Cent.
Which league did you play in had the worst refs?
Oh, God. Oh, man. China.
Last place you went on vacation?
Cabo.
Favorite comedian?
Dave Chappelle.
Who would play you in a movie about your life?
Man, that's tough. Boris Kojo.
If you could play another sport, what would it be?
Tennis.
Best player you ever played against?
Fatty.
Worst ever injury?
Achilles. 2 Achilles tendons.
So you're actually the first guest that has gotten through all the questions before the buzzer went
let's
out.
go. Let's go.
All right, I'm gonna start. So I think one thing I want to go over quickly is you mentioned tearing your Achilles. For those who are listening who don't know, it's the worst injury in sport, and it's one that a lot of players have recently suffered from, including KD and Kobe. So can you walk us through what it was like trying to recover from that and still play at a high level?
Tough, man. The hardest part about that injury was playing on it hurt for so long. So my Achilles ruptures were a little different than most people's. Mine was slowly ripping off the bone. It wasn't splitting in the middle. So I had the ability to play, but I was just playing in tremendous pain for so long and taking like painkillers and injections and stuff. I did a lot of damage to my liver trying to play through it. But yeah, when I finally popped, I actually popped it in Egypt, playing against Ish in the finals. We were playing Ittihad, and then I popped it and then I went home. But I played a whole season on it, and then it was the first Achilles was like a 13, 14 month rehab until I was really feeling like I was back to myself. I remember I tried to come out early. I went to Lebanon to play and then had to come back home. I wasn't ready. So yeah, it's tough, but it builds the character. It gives you that work ethic. And if you can get over that, you can get through, you get through a ton of injuries, man. That's nothing. So.
Well, that's part of it, right? It's understanding that. I think the biggest part of overcoming injuries is mental. Yeah. And if you can get yourself back on the court, you've done half the job,
100%.
Yo, more power to you. For you to tear your Achilles 2 times, Oh man, God bless you. That is not easy. I did an ACL and it took me 8 months to come back, but I know Achilles take forever, and they say you can never come back the same from Achilles.
Yeah, it's true. But fortunately, man, I came back and I had great doctors. I had my first surgery I had done in Egypt. I actually did a great job. And then my second one I had done in New York. But no, I came back from both. I came back and played, and I went to the Philippines after that. And,
Right.
it was a great trip. And I actually did, last year, I've never broke a bone. I've never broke a finger, sprained an ankle, nothing, but I just tear
Knock on
tendons. I
wood.
tore my patella tendon last year, but I got through that like nothing. After Achilles, this stuff is like nothing. So I've been very fortunate, man.
Aboudi, for people that don't know Alex, this dude is a workaholic in the gym. You know what I mean? There's no way he's missing a workout. I mean, I remember when I saw him in Vegas. We were in Vegas for, I think it was Summer League or a Gertz camp.
Yep.
And he was like, yo, I'm going to hit the gym at 6 a.m. I'm like, man, I can't believe he's sitting here. He was like, yeah, man, I hit it daily. Like, he is a workaholic. He's always in the gym, always keeping himself in great shape. Although, you know, I mean, he was retired and he was doing his player development thing with the Wizards. More power to you. I love that, baby.
Appreciate that, man.
That's a good segue. So, Alex, as we enter the sort of main part of our interview, first question we like to ask a lot of our guests is, do you remember the first time you picked up a basketball? Do you remember the first time you realized, this is something I can do at a high level? Can you walk us through that?
So the first time I picked up a basketball, I was like every other kid, probably 4 or 5 years old. But my story and journey is a little different, that I didn't play organized basketball until I was 18 years old. So I went a long period of time that I didn't play organized, just, your regular youth stuff when you're a kid, but that's nothing. But as far as like junior high, high school, it was non-existent for me. So for me to actually believe that I could play at a high level, it wasn't until I was probably about 20 years old when I really believed. I was like, okay, I might be able to do this for a living. The goal was just to see where I could take it and first, hopefully get to college at any level. And then I was very fortunate in my journey that after some trials and tribulations, I got a Division I scholarship. And then 4 years later, after picking up a basketball, I signed my first professional contract, started making money. So
again, for those who are listening, when you end up playing sports at a high level in the U.S., typically from a young age whether or not you're going to play in college, right? You got scouts watching you from the age of 14, cameras in your face all the time. So Alex's journey truly is unique in the sense that it took him a little bit longer to realize that this was a viable opportunity for him. Alex, can you walk us through what it was like getting that scholarship to D1 school, what it's like playing for a D1 program, what you learned in that experience?
It was a different journey for me in the fact that my first 2 years I went to Division III junior college, which is the lowest level basketball you could possibly play. And there's no rules and there's no age limits and anybody can basically play on the team. And after I did my 2 years in junior college, I still was in limbo about a Division I. I had signed a letter of intent to a school and then they reneged on it. And then I actually had to take a semester home and stay home and train. And, you're telling everybody you sign. And then you come home in August and September, people are like, what are you doing here? And I'm in New York. So you're in New York now, Aboudi. So, people are like, man, that was all, that's cap. He's not doing anything. Da, da, da. So you got to deal with that mental battle. So I stayed home. I worked out for a semester with a trainer named Jerry Powell, who's real prominent in New York, my guy. I owe him a lot. And then Liberty University flew in just for me to work out. They had a scholarship open. Somebody was ineligible. This is in January. I had a workout. I had a 2-hour workout. Had one chance to do it. I killed the workout. They brought me in for a visit. So midway through that year, I redshirted a half a year, that second half, but I ended up transferring in Division I midway through the year, and that's how I got in.
Man, tell me about the feeling of getting a D1 offer and getting that scholarship, because I mean that's every hooper, that's every hooper's dream.
Yeah, no, it was an incredible feeling. When I got there, it was culture shock for sure, and I knew that I only had 2 years of eligibility, so I had to make the best of it. But I was extremely happy when it happened, and I clicked right into grind mode. Like I turned into like a workout monster because I had one semester to get prepared, and then And Sam, this, like junior college guys have a stigma when they're coming in that they might be a problem or maybe it's a gamble. So I wanted to prove myself right away. So going into my junior year, like the third game of the season, I had 40 points, 20 rebounds. And then after that, my confidence was through the roof. So I started knocking things out like piece by piece.
It's beyond me for you to start organized basketball at the age of 18 and still to go D1. It's insane. You know what I mean? That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Crazy journey, but, that kind of plays into some of the injuries. I was a 2-a-day, 3-a-day. My cousin Garnett, Sam, so I was kind of following under his wing because he went to junior college Providence and he was already playing in China in the region by then when I was coming up. So I would train with him And I followed his footsteps, man, and we would just get to it. So, you know, part of the reason why I did so much damage on my body was because I felt like I was always playing catch up, but it was worth it.
Oh, I can really relate to that. So my professional journey also very unique in the sense that like I played D3 for a year, got injured, kind of thought I was gonna never play basketball again. I moved to Jordan for work, met Sam. Sam's like, you got to play pro. You know, you got a Kuwaiti passport and you can hoop. And so Sam got me ready in like literally 3 months to go play for what I believe is the best team in the Middle East. And I remember showing up and thinking, like, I have to prove myself that I belong with these guys that have played pro their entire life. And while that thought is correct, the execution was so wrong because I was waking up and I was doing 3-a-days in September, right? Yeah. The season ends in June. If you start tiring yourself out 9 months early, you're not ever going to know, you know, you're not going to be able to make it all the way through. And now when I look back on it, I'm like, I really wish I'd understood that it's a marathon, not a sprint, and that, you know, trying to prove yourself to other people by working out 3 times a day is not always the right way to get yourself in basketball shape.
100%. Yeah, it's sometimes it's cumulative damage. Like mentally, you feel good and you feel like you're doing something, but like in hindsight, you're taking some steps backwards. So it's a very unique line you have to toe, like your level of professionalism, and then how to help your body, and then how sometimes rest or the proper way of training also helps you develop a lot faster. So I had to learn that the hard way as well. But I think from just a mental aspect, like everybody equates action to results. So like, you know, the more action I put in, more work I put in, the quicker the results I'm going to get. But there's different ways to navigate it. But, you know, you learn the hard way one way or another.
What made you think that you want to take your talent overseas? How did that go? Did you first try to get in the NBA? Did you have any NBA workouts? Or you jumped right into overseas through the experience of course, your cousin Garnett Thompson? Shout out to Garnett, by the way.
Yeah, my God, man. My God, he's in Australia right now. He actually he just had a baby.
Okay.
So congrats to him. But
congrats.
Coming out, you know, even still, I had a good, you know, collegiate career for those 2 years. I got some accolades, but, you know, still I was in a mid-major program. So I had 3 NBA workouts coming out, 3 pre-draft workouts coming out. That's when I actually first met Tommy Shepard, who ended up hiring me, you know, 11 years later with the Wizards. He was the assistant GM at the time, but I had 3 NBA workouts, and then I didn't go to Summer League that year. And then I had signed in Poland. So I had got a good contract offer. It was 6 figures. And hey, man, look, coming from where I'm coming from, if I have that on the table, I didn't turn it down. So I had my agent got me my first job in Poland and took off from there. And then as the years came, I started getting more NBA camps and things like that. But it didn't happen my first year.
So walk us through now. You finish up season 1 in Poland. Where do you go from there? And at what point do you sort of understand that, you know, there's a journey in basketball that doesn't always have to end in the NBA, and there's a lucrative career that can be made in Europe and the Middle East? Right.
No, really, really cool. So for me, and I think it was the best part about starting late, is that whatever I was given was a blessing. Like if I was making $1 to play like 4 years ago, bro, I wasn't even playing. I wasn't even thinking about playing basketball. So it wasn't even, so anything that came my way was a blessing. And then as you get your acumen and you start to get years in, then you have a little bit more of a, I guess like an ego saying, hey, this is the right fit for me. This isn't. But from the very beginning, I was fortunate to have everything. So I approached everything with a yes mindset. Like if you wanted me, like I was going to do my best to be there. So after my first year in Europe, and Europe is different, I didn't know, like I'm used to playing 30, 40 minutes a game. Europe, man, I came off the bench the whole time. But I still made the All-Star game and I had really high efficiency. Europe is just all about the efficiency rating. It's not about your numbers. Nobody in EuroLeague's averaging 30 points. It's, you know, it's rare.
Except for 17-year-old Luka Doncic.
Yeah, Luka was he's different. That's why he was the number 1 pick, man. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
But yeah, just at that time, my cousin Garnett was playing in China. He was starting to get into the Asian, Middle East region. And then I ended up, you know, getting with Pascal, connecting with him as an agent. And I was like, my first job after that, I went to Lebanon just to check it out. And then I just fell in love with the region. I fell in love with the area. And I never went back to Europe. It was all China, Philippines, Asia, and Middle East for the rest of my career. I loved it. I just loved the experience and the culture, to be honest.
But something else that's different from both European and NBA is street ball, which is something that you grew up a lot about, especially in New York. Can you, first and foremost, for listeners that aren't really aware, talk to us about the street ball culture in New York, what it's like and what the impact it had on your life, as well as whether or not you think it's useful for players to have some kind of experience in street ball, even if they want to pursue a professional career.
100%. Street ball is everything in New York. That's what it is. And first off, I just, RIP Corey Homicide, street ball, NBL, Australian legend, commentator, great friend, dear friend of ours. He passed of cancer about 3 weeks ago. New York City legend, not even close, but an incredible professional as well. One of the very few to, like Rafe, to make the transition from street ball and actually get a shot in the NBA and play and have a great career. So just prayers to his family. He was a great, great, dear friend of ours. But
amen to that.
Street ball, especially where we come from, that's where you get your heart. That's where you get your grittiness, your toughness. Because the thing about New York, and you're out there now, it's when you go and play in that circuit, like if you're not that, you're gonna know that. Like people are gonna let you know right away,
and they're gonna talk their talk. Yeah, it's crazy.
No filter in New York. Guys got no filter. So
everyone can hoop. Everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm used to I'm like 5'8" and like I don't look like a hooper. So like whenever I play internationally, I'm like people are gonna underestimate me. But then I find myself coming here and seeing people on the court and being like, "There's no way this guy can hoop," and everyone's fucking good.
Yep. Really good. And the circuit's crazy, man. You're outside playing 2-3 games a day, and like, KD and all you guys know all the names. The guys out there playing on the concrete, man. It got so crazy that they started putting hardwood outside, just to kind of cater to everybody's bodies. But you're out there playing street ball with legends, man, all stars. So it's the level of competition, no matter where you go, is great. And then to bring it home to what you were saying, like for the younger guys coming up, like. That's like your battlegrounds, man. That's like training camp. That's like going to like Navy SEAL, school or whatever it is. Right. Like that's where you're going to get your heart. So that helped me develop, man, because my first 2-3 years playing summer street ball, man, like I wasn't very good and people let me know. And then when you're big and not really good, you got to deal with that. So mentally, that's where you get your heart and toughness. And then you come back and you build your name.
I just got cooked by a 45-year-old like Greek man called Christos something. I don't know. He's like big on TikTok. I saw him. I'm walking down the street. My dumbass started chatting shit. He's like, "Come play me then." And with all my friends are like, "You can't be a bitch now, dude." He's got his camera crew out there and everything. I took a shot. I go up 1-0. I got arrogant. The dude just posted my ass up for an hour. And
I want to see the video. We need to see the footage. You getting cooked.
The thing is, I was telling Alex before the episode, like I posted on my Instagram the footage my friends took of me scoring.
Right.
If he posts the actual high-level video of him cooking me, my career is done.
But on the real, what street ball does to people, it puts things in reality real quick, in perspective. So it's either it's going to tell you who you are or it's going to literally destroy you. So it's either you're going to step up to the plate and literally ball out, or it's going to crush you and you ain't going to be ready for it. That's one thing I loved about street ball. I know we talk a lot about New York street ball, but anywhere when you play street ball, it's either you're bringing your A game or your confidence is done. You're screwed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to perform right away. It gets you ready for the big stage. You got to perform right away.
So in your street ball experience, did you come up against any of the New York legends, and what's it like playing against someone that has that kind of energy, right? Like again, going back to my experience last week, it's like there's an aura around street ball greats that just they have this energy where everyone's always watching, seeing what they're gonna do. Did you have any experience like that?
Yeah, always, man. I played against everybody. These guys are celebrities where we come, and some of them have great careers outside of it, and some of them are just New York City street ball legends. They have their own cult, their own following. They have huge fan base that people come out. We started our own private school about 2 years ago, and I actually hired last year Kareem Reed as one of our head coaches. He played at Arkansas, all-time assist leader, and he's a New York City legend, and that clout goes with you forever. But that's why, even in the questions, man, you said Rafe or Sham. Like, I grew up with Sham. Like, Rafe, I could see him, I could touch him, I could pause, I could be, I could hang out with him, spend time. So if you ask me the best handle out of anybody, he'll be the answer no matter what, to anybody, because these are our NBA stars. These are the people we looked up to. They may not have been the max players that we see now, but like for us kids growing up, that's who we looked up to.
Do you have any memory of anyone just cooking you, talking trash, and someone that kind of put you in your place and made you realize that street ball is just a different game?
Oh man, 100%. My first however long, man, everybody talked trash to me. I wasn't very good and soft and all these things, but my first welcome to street ball and welcome to Man, there's probably two, but my first like kind of welcome to street ball in New York City was two people, and actually both St. John's players. I was young, and it was Ron Artest. Ron Artest, I got it in the post. He knocked it right out of my hands, whatever. Then he got it. He turned. First, back when he stepped on my toe, my toenail is still like done to this day. It's like 15 years later. And, he just, he turned, dunked it, and it was just like, and Ron is like a really nice guy. That's the crazy part. But then what I felt from the crowd after I got dunked on by Ron was crazy, or Meta, excuse me now, but that's still, that's Ron to me. And another guy there was so many, but like Anthony Glover, I don't know if you guys remember him, but big, strong, wide body, same St. John. They were playing on the same team. That was my day. Like they were just taking turns, man. Cause I was, I'm big, so I got to guard these guys, but and then it's soft and big for nothing and hearing it from the crowd. But the cool part is like, as you grow, then they become your brothers and you get that respect, but you got to go through it. It's like anything else, man. Like you got to pay your dues, man. And
there is no one in NBA history I'd less rather have guard me than Ron Artest. That's for sure.
So yeah, he's
Welcome
incredibly
to street
strong.
basketball, baby.
Crazy. And I'm talking, and of course, like if he's playing, the whole city's out. So
everyone's
we're in
watching.
front of everybody. It was crazy. So
you're lucky it was probably at a time when no one was filming around. I'm sure you'd be on YouTube for sure.
Alex, what were the circumstances when you decided that you were done playing ball?
For me, it was a simple decision, actually. I had got, I was on year 10, and there's always a trajectory in your career, and you can continue to play and make money and fulfill that part of your ego, but you got to realize that you may lose the upside of other opportunities. So for one thing, I was just, trying to further myself as a person and as a man. So I went back to school as I was recovering from my second Achilles, and I went back to get my MBA, my master's in business. And at the same time, I was just GAing from the school I came in and just working with the guys and really training, getting my degree and getting ready to go play again was my mindset. And then I just fell in love with the development of young athletes and basketball players.
When you decided to move on, can we talk a little about the emotions? Was it hard for you? Was it difficult to give up playing professionally? Because a lot of us are ready to walk away, but still it's extremely difficult to walk away. Was it easier because you kind of had an idea what you want to do? You want to go back to school and it was the injury, or it was so difficult where some nights you're like, man, this is tough. I really want to go back to playing.
No, it's never easy because you identify with it. It becomes who you are, part of your ego. And like, even while you're transitioning, you still get the calls. Like the agents call you, I have a job here, a job there. And you're like, man, I could go over, like all these things. But sometimes that could be a deterrent on the true path. Cause it was funny because like I started late. I got, 10 years in or 9 years in playing, and I probably could have got 5 or 6 more at a pretty high enough level to make good money. But then I also had the opportunity to get into the NBA very young. So on the coaching side of things, now I'm like getting in early, I ended up becoming the youngest director of player development at the time, and to be able to get into the next endeavor at the highest level early was the trade-off. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be a GA. I'm going to work my way through the player development ranks. I made nothing my first year with the Wizards. I made like $40,000 a year, which is, we were making that. Like you make that in a week in a tournament. You know what I mean? So, but I decided to take the sacrifice because it's just the upside to what comes from it. And it was the best decision of my life because everything that has came to fruition on the court, off the court, was because I decided to take that chance. And, for the first 2 or 3 years, even when you're there playing with the guys, you can still play. So you have the ego, like, man, I could do this. But when you get into coaching and player development, and this is very important, it's about servanthood. It's not about you, and it's not about your ego, what you can do. It's about what you can pour into somebody else to make them achieve what they need to achieve and be the highest version of themselves. And once you can really like truly get that separated, and Sam, like the guys who try to jump into player development and their ego is big and they're still a player, they don't make it, man. The NBA washes them right out because it's all about those 400 guys and that's it. That's what it's about. That's the business.
Alex, when you took that gig your first year with the Washington Wizards and you got barely any money, did you have to walk away from something big, like a big deal, a big contract?
Yeah. So basically, my last year playing was also my highest paid year making money. And then when I decided to get into coaching, I took $800 as a GA every 6 weeks to get my degree in rehab. And then when Tommy Shepard called me, I had a deal on the table worth more a week than what he offered me for the year after taxes. So, but that's the upside. That's the gamble we talked about. Sacrifice it now like everything else, and then the payoff is greater. And the amount of money that I turned down on that contract, I've made back 10 times with the amount of relationships and things. It's, you can't even measure it. There's no comparison. It was the best decision I ever made in my life.
You've mentioned two words over and over again that I want to tap into because I think it's important. It's actually very much the reason Sam and I started this podcast, which is ego and identity, right? You spend your entire life being associated with a sport, or in our case, all of us, basketball. And as soon as that's taken away from you, whether it's age, injury, or just the decision to move on, no matter how ready you think you are, it's quite frightening, right? Because you've been told your entire life, like, you're just a basketball player. And specifically with athletes, we're always told that, stick to your sport and don't really get involved with anything beyond that. So I'd love to understand from you how you were able to not attach yourself to that identity, especially when you think about you're in Poland, China, Middle East, you're experiencing all these different things, but ultimately it's basketball that's taking you there, right? At what point mentally were you able to say, you know what, I can be a lot more than just a basketball player?
I think when I first realized that basketball is the ultimate connector. Once you can realize what basketball is doing for you, not for yourself, but for how it's connecting you with people across the globe, now you just use it as a tool and it's no longer an identity. It's just something you have in your toolkit in order just to have personal growth. You get what I'm saying? So once I kind of realized that I wouldn't have all these opportunities if it wasn't for basketball, but all these opportunities may have nothing to do with basketball. It's just a connector. And then, that was a differentiator for me. And once I realized that, I use it as a tool. Like, being 6'7", 6'8", and you're already going to command the presence. People see you, they're going to assume you're a basketball player. Like, even now, people still, hey, are you a basketball player? Only wherever you go. So it's a conversation piece and it opens up the door. But then the next focus was, I got to have some substance behind who I am as a person, that when people come talk to me, I just don't sit around and talk about basketball all day. I can bring all different avenues to a conversation or to a business or to anything else to help me grow and get to where I got to go. So it's basketball uses you, and then you got to find a way to use it.
So that's a good segue, honestly. Sam has mentioned, and you've talked about the fact that you did a lot of player development, and we'll dive into that as well. But can you walk us through what it was like setting up your first business, what the first business was, and what that taught you about, building businesses outside of the sport? I
mean, obviously the natural transition is the first business you start coming out of basketball. It's a training business. Like, that's, most guys do that and they start training. I'm going to train a player after this, but the hindsight is you do it trying to be the best you can at that and make money. Now I'm going to train, and the majority of people I train for free. I do it because I just want to see them get better and grow. Like, I can't train everybody every day anymore. My schedule doesn't allow for that, but I can do it from a passion place. So when you start doing things because you love it and not for the money, then the opportunities come. So, I've dabbled in all kind of things, and things went well and things have not gone well. But all of that is part of the journey of the development, right? And things get dicey, like, especially in the business world, you're dealing with people and relationships, and things go bad, and I make mistakes, other people make mistakes, but you learn and grow. And each time you get over those humps, the next avenue opens. And now I'm in an extremely blessed and fortunate position that, we're doing some really big and impactful things.
Alex, you just recently finished with the Washington Wizards, and now you're taking on crazy projects, in which we'll get into later on. But tell me, how did the Washington Wizards help you?
Oh, connected me, man. It's the highest level. So it connected me with everybody. And if it's organic and it's natural, and you build those relationships from an organic place and a genuine place, you can keep them forever. And just like, people will rely on you for things and need you for things. Down the line, you may need them for things. So It just helped me build my network and helped me build my relationships. That was the most. And once I realized that, I was like, man, me coaching in the NBA is not going to be I did 7 years straight with the Wizards, which was great. But now I've gotten multiple offers, but I've had to turn them all down because now we're on to another chapter, which is much bigger.
So walk us through that, right? For the listeners that don't know, it's when you spend so much time in the NBA, it's probably a little bit tempting when you get a coaching offer, right? Because like you said, it's the ego, it's the attachment to the sport. How have you been able to say, you know what, I have a bigger purpose and I have a bigger opportunity elsewhere?
I wish that I could say that, like, I'm mentally strong enough to be like, yeah, I have a bigger, like, everybody has their doubts. I've been very fortunate that I have a great team right now with me. So like even now to this day, when I'm getting, coaching opportunities, college, pros, head coaching, all kind of things, I bounce into my, hey, I got this on the table. And then they look at me and laugh like, Alex, man, come on, man. Like, you see who we're, and because everybody needs the reassurance. Yeah, everybody needs the reassurance. You get what I'm saying? Like now, like Ty Lue and all these guys, that money's so crazy. That's hard to turn down. But also the thing is like money isn't everything because the time is what's most important. And if you have a great job, you make good money, but it doesn't, and me and Sam talked about this last week, if it's blocking you from being free in the time, then you have a ceiling on you. So you would have to get paid a ridiculous amount of money from any endeavor for you to limit your time or be on somebody else's time. And that's a hard trade-off.
You know, it's crazy what a lot of people don't know. We players, we want to buy our time back as we get done. You know what I mean? Like we don't want to retire and get in the work field and then be working 8 to 5 or whatever. We're accustomed to owning our own time. And this is key. And I think Caddy spoke on this, Aboudi, about buying your own time. And this is how me and Alex were talking about last week. Like, I don't know if I want to really go under organization and be controlled. When am I allowed to do this? When am I allowed to travel? When do I need to clock in, clock out? It's just tough. You know what I mean? There's bigger things in the world that we could do.
It's very true. Last year was tough with the Wizards because it was great. But as business started to take off for me on other ends, I was like traveling. After practice, I was trying to catch a flight and come back for the next practice. And it becomes too much and people understand what's going on. And also like over the last, couple years, like things like, and it gets superficial, but like your following gets a little bit bigger on social media. You start getting outside endeavors, and not that it's a bad thing, because at the end of the day, if you get fired or you get let go or you get released, like you're your own brand. You have to be able to fall back on the things that you've built. But if you're working, it kind of gets frowned upon. Like, hey, he's not all the way focused because he's got this. But man, I'm trying to build for the rest of my life. Like this is great, and I'm appreciative of it. But what happens when you take it away from me? Because everybody gets fired in the coaching world. That's
I was just about to ask you, was Washington okay with you doing all this? Because especially in the off season, I saw you do a lot of stuff where you're working out a lot of athletes, WNBA. And you're always on the go. Were they okay with it, or did they give you a hard time?
My first workout, the first GM or first front office person I ever met was Tommy Shepard. Tommy Shepard, who turned around and hired me later. Listen, Tommy's my guy. You very rarely get a guy like that allows you the freedom and the autonomy to do what you want to do in a respectful way. We've been through a lot, and he's asked a lot of me on some things. So I built that rapport and that equity to be able to do it. I just had to do it in the most respectful fashion. So like not everything was for social media and that, but like Sam knows I have my own facilities here. Yeah. So it worked both ways. Like there was times when like the G League, the Go-Go, the facility was getting done. They needed a facility. They had training camp in my gym. Like it was an asset. Like in the summertime, nobody's having runs in DC. Everybody's in Miami and LA, but I have a gym, man. I could bring guys from all other teams and we could have runs and play pickup, and it allows the Wizards guys to stay home and have something to do. Like, so it really helped with like the development of Daniel Gafford and a lot of people that they were afraid that were young with a high upside, but if they went home, they wouldn't be in the right environment. So the things that I was doing off the court also was an asset to them, but it's a balance. You know what I'm saying?
Nice little name drop. Gafford's now playing in the NBA Finals.
That's my dude, man. He knows that's my guy. We spent a lot of time.
Before we go, give me a story about John Wall.
John is a beast, bro. That's
Tell
my
me
guy.
about
So
him.
I'll say, and we did it kind of in a rapid fire, and you were like, listen, if I could.
He has the best, by the way. Sorry to interrupt. He has the best high school mixtape of all time. It's not even close.
He's a basketball savant. He loves, and his podcast is incredible too, man. But he lives and breathes it. So like, I gotta, like, this is important. Like, I would not be where I am and the recognition and everything else that came if it was not for him. The number one person that I attribute my coaching and player development success to was John Wall. And we were close around the Wizards, but we weren't tight. And guess what happened? He tore his Achilles, right? And I'm with you every day. Like, listen, I know a torn Achilles like the back of my hand. Like, this is what I've been through. Like, we're going to go through the trenches. So we started becoming tight and working. And then he tore his Achilles and COVID happened. And Tommy called me and said, Alex, can you move to Miami and be with John Wall for 8 months or to wherever the season starts? Move. Didn't see my family the whole time, nothing. And me and him, we formed a brotherhood, man. We got super tight, and we spoke yesterday. Like, that is my guy. Oh, that guy, everything. And it's like, there's nobody really that I can't,
Yeah.
I give him full credit for a lot of things that happened. He took me under his wing. He showed me a different way, and we work like dogs, man. It was a great time.
I love to hear that. So I wanted to ask, because you've mentioned so many different things, right? Sam at the beginning spoke about, gaming, consulting, real estate. You've mentioned player development and how, you got to a point where the Wizards are starting to think, what else is he doing after hours? So what's a day like in the life of Alex, right? Where are your priorities? Where are you spending most time? And what's the biggest passion project for you right now?
Oh, man, there's so much. So, I mean, a day in the life today or this week is, I'll give you my next week. So I just came back from Miami yesterday. I met with Kyle Kuzma Wednesday, and we just signed a deal to be a part of ownership with him on a big restaurant chain. It's going to be in the next 3 years, 25 stores.
Congrats.
So we're going to probably release that being done next week, but we close that deal. But next week, man, I fly to Dubai. I'm in Jordan with Sam for the clinic. Then I go to Saudi to meet with the royal family and the head of sport, Ministry of Sport there, and talks to building a women's professional league and some other things with the national team. After that, I'm back to Dubai for my facility opening. We started a whole new sports group that everything from facilities to, we have a biohacking center, buying professional sports teams and interest in that. And from Dubai, I'm going to Zimbabwe because I'm doing a huge project there. That's infrastructure and all kind of crazy stuff. Obviously bringing sports to that area as well. But then I'm back to Dubai after that. So I fly to do the Middle East now like people take Ubers. So, and I still have my, after this podcast, I'm going to train Laura Williams, Doug Williams' daughter, the legendary quarterback. She just signed to USC. I'm going to go train her at my gym. Steven Adams was there this morning. I'm here with you guys. So I run around crazy, man.
Do you feel like the breadth of what you do keeps you grounded, or sometimes you find it difficult to find moments for yourself?
There's no moments for myself. I have my operations director here next to me, Jess. She keeps me,
making sure you're not saying anything wrong.
There's no time, and it's a ton of stress. And even right now, we're in a very stressful state in a lot of ways, but it is all perspective. Like if I have 10% stress, or 10% things that may be negative, that's where all my focus. I put 100% focus on the 10% negative, and I don't never look at the lens of 90% of everything is incredible. Why am I not focusing 100% of my attention on the 90%? So I got to always get grounded back that way.
But that's a challenge I think we all face, right? Is the inner talk and how you speak to yourself and where you focus. And it's like, it's so simple to biohack the way you speak to yourself, and then that then translates into how you live your life. But it's good you say that, because I think it's important for people to understand that everyone goes through those same trials and tribulations. Sorry, Sam, I interrupted you, so I'm going to go ahead and let you ask your question.
Alex, you're a very, very busy man. How do you find time for family?
Just try to take advantage of the opportunities and the time that you have. It's finding that balance. I've been out of balance for a long time, and it's the same as everything else, just the risk and the reward. I'll sacrifice it now in order to provide them with what they need or the freedom for later. But like last night, how I bonded with my daughters, we were in the gym working out. We were, doing some treadmill, some work in the weight room. One's 6 and one's 10. My 10-year-old, she's starting to hoop. So now we're bonding that way. And I never put it on them. And I think that they also know that because they grew up in NBA arenas and sitting pregame or courtside their whole life. So it's in them, but they also know that it's a way to connect with me. So it's funny, family, and as your kids get older, they also know, okay, for me to be able to spend time with my dad, this is how I can connect with them. Kids are very smart. So I spend a lot of time with that with my kids, as much as I can, doing things outside and, trying to fit it in when I can. But in the month of June, I'm overseas for 25 out of 30 days.
Is that the reason why you're big on women basketball, because of your daughters?
No question. So the women's is that's my passion. It was funny, as I was, and another thing with Tommy was the best. Before, women's was always big, and I saw it. And once I started working with them, I was like, man, I fell in love with it because of my daughters and just the connection, and it's a different vibe. But there was times, man, I'd finish Wizards practice, and then I'd bring Paige Beckers in to come work out at the facility, and Kiki Rice and AZ Fudd, and we'd have and they would work out with the guys. I've had workouts with
Paige is a fucking hooper.
Beast. That's
Beast.
She's the best, man. She's the best. And she would be in there working, and she would work with some of the NBA guys, and we'd take trips together. So I fell in love with that and the process and the relationship that you build from them, and then watching them become millionaires in college and be the first to do that. She's the first with Gatorade, and Kiki's the first with Jordan. And you guys saw what it was this year with the tournament. It wasn't even close. Women blew men out of the water. So that's what my passion
And
project
it's
is.
added a lot of like flair to the game. You know, Caitlin Clark last night was getting heated, you know, talking shit, talking her talk. And it's like, it's nice to see that this attention that women's game got recently is not short-lived, and that there's this entertainment aspect to it now that for a while you probably only had with the men's game.
100%. And they deserve it. They deserve it. For a long time, they went without, and it went under the radar. And now I love the attention it's getting. And now, like the biggest advocate and the more support and things I could bring to the women's game, that's my passion, and that's what I'm doing.
Alex, from your opinion, for our audience, especially on this side of the world, on Asia's side, Middle East side, what makes NBA talent different than other talent?
Outside of, so every NBA guy is extremely intelligent. They have super high IQs. They're all touched by God, from majority of them from a physical standpoint. They just can jump high, run fast, long. Everything is there. And their work ethic, man, it goes, people say, well, they're making this, and listen, these guys work, and they work hard, man. They grind, and the NBA season is grueling. And Sam, you know, there is no time off. You're in a plane, you wake up the next day. The season's crazy. These guys are machines, man. They're machines. They know how to operate on little to no sleep and perform at the highest levels. And that's just what it is, man. They're just built like machines. So for all those looking up to NBA guys, and you think just because you're tall, and listen, the amount of work and dedication and mental fortitude and strength you have to have just to endure everything that comes with it off the court, and then have to perform at the highest level on the court, it's not easy.
I'm glad you mentioned the comments that sometimes people make about like, oh, they make this much money. It's a demand-driven industry. People want to see people play at the highest level, and that's why arenas sell out, and that's why these players get paid that much. And no one understands that, like, to do what Kevin Durant does, to be 6'11" and to move gracefully, like it's impossible to describe, right? And I think that's where there's this disconnect where you have, not only basketball, every sport, fans think they know more than the players and think they can make comments about the way someone's playing, or like, oh, they're not working as hard. It's tough, man. It's tough to be on the road and to grind and to finish a game and get on a plane, and then to have short-term memory. You have to be a goldfish when you're a professional athlete. You cannot remember your last shot. You can't remember your last game. You got to just keep going. And I think we don't give these high-performance athletes enough credit for their ability to forget the bads and the lows and to continue going to try and be better.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. These guys go through a lot, and they have to hear and deal with a lot, and a lot of different people and things pulling at them on a constant basis, and you still have to perform. You still can't take a day off. These guys are, and Sam knows, and you know, Aboudi, everybody knows, like when you get to a certain amount of years, then your body just, it's hard to wake up and do that every day. And now you look at KD and Bron and all these guys, like they're going into years 16, 17, 18, 19, super high level. You get what I'm saying? I watched John Wall play hurt for like years, like, and you know he's hurting. And then during that 48 minutes on the court, nobody in the stands knows. But the guys are going through it, man. They're struggling.
And people don't realize as well the kind of care they're putting into their body, right? So when it came out last year or 2 years ago that LeBron spends $1.5 million, whether or not the number was arbitrary, on recovery, I think it finally gave people insight into, okay, we see them for 48 minutes, you know, in a game, and we know they have practices. But now I think people are starting to understand the ice baths, the saunas, the recoveries, the massages, the taping, what you eat, your diet, and how much actually playing a professional sport is a 24-hour job, right? And it's the only job that's 24 hours.
100%. Yeah, you have a Ferrari, and you have to treat it as such, man. You got to put all the right things into it, and you have to be able to be around. In the NBA, you get afforded a lot of the supplements and the technology and all the things you need, but also, like, just because you have it there, that doesn't mean you're going to go use it. So you also got to have the discipline and the regimen to go use it and do it every day. And know who is incredible, and shout out to being around him because it was very inspirational, was Russ Westbrook. Oh, Russ Westbrook was, his dedication to, I don't think he sleeps, but he's worse than all of us. He's the first one in, like, and people say that, like, and when he first got to the Wizards, he was still trying to get his knees and his things back in order and his balance, and he was taking, you know, the criticism, but he didn't miss a day. He didn't miss a beat, like not one day. He was the same way every day.
One of my favorite Russell Westbrook moments is that interview where the person compliments him, right? And is like, you know, you had a great game today. You accelerate so much on your jump shot, whatever she was saying. And the sheer shock on his face that someone actually just appreciated him for once. Yeah. We give that man, not we, but people give that man so much shit. But as you said, I don't think people understand how hard that guy works to keep himself at a high level. It's so inspirational.
Yeah. And he likes it. He feeds off that, the negative energy.
Yeah. How was he in practice? Because when he was with us with Houston, Man, he was so intense. It was insane.
The same. The first day he came in, he couldn't play that day because you take the medical exams. He wasn't cleared yet. He pulled the fucking chair onto the court and it was like he was playing. He was just. I'm talking first. The first day everybody's getting acclimated. Plus the Wizards were a very young team. Nobody knew him. Talking shit, like running his mouth, and we were like, man, it's gonna be a long season, man. Like, and from that day to the last day, he was the same way. And that was the year Bradley Beal led the league in scoring, and Russ broke the triple-double record with us. All these, and he was like that every day. He's a very, very inspirational, motivational. That guy's crazy, man. He'll sub a guy in and out of the game. Like, he's crazy, but he is the best because you can never question his work ethic. Like, he doesn't give you a day to say, oh, Russ is slacking. He took off, because he doesn't take off.
It's crazy. I hope very much the guy gets a ring.
Alex, I know early on in your career, you spoke about your trainer that helped you get into a D1 and jumpstart your basketball career. Who helped you jumpstart your business career? Who were your mentors?
I've had a lot. I have a guy named Mark Hiplu who helped me early on. He's one of the biggest personal injury attorneys in Florida. They made the movie John Q after him because he was the first one to ever successfully sue an HMO. So he's been doing well for a long time. And he just helped me for the beginning stages of, getting acclimated to a different side of things and a different level of sophistication of how things operate. And now, the team I have and the new company I'm with, I'm with some great guys and some great partnerships and guys. That's the thing is, when you have a team and they allow you to put you in a position to be who you are and flourish, and then everybody else does what they do, it becomes like a true support system. Like, I'm in an environment to do what I do at the best level with a full support, and vice versa, and then you got to know when to be in the front and be in the background of just doing things.
That's a good point. First question's a quick one, right? Have you had any experience where maybe at first you didn't have the right people around you? Or were you lucky in the sense that the team you've hired to keep around have always been, the right people?
One, I didn't hire a team, man. This came organically, and I got brought into some things that they had, and I brought them in some things I had, and we ended up putting it together. Yeah, I've had some, of course, like it's a process. Things don't go well with people, but at the end of the day, before I could say, hey, I've had bad people around me, I have to take responsibility for where I was from a maturity level, intellectual level, business acumen, and you're just not ready. But I'm also not afraid to jump in. Like, I'll jump in and figure it out. Because the thing is like, if you can gamble and you can jump in, and if it all goes bad, there's 99% of the world doesn't jump in, period. So when you learn, you get knocked down, you get up, you get up, you get up, and it keeps opening doors. And that's all it is. It's you got to get up every day.
I think that's what sports teaches us, right? Is that like I said earlier about the fact that we have to be a goldfish and forget about, the lows and get on to the next game. As you said, very important. 99% of people won't even take that first step. And even if the first step leads to a complete failure, then you can at least have something to reflect on rather than sitting in regret and being like, what if I did that, right?
100%. For me, I would rather try and fail and keep trying than to look back and be like, man, I wish I did this. I wish I did. Like, I'm never going to look back in life and say, man, I wish I did it like this. Like, I'm all in with everything I do. I have no choice. Like, this is what it is.
Pain of regret is stronger than the pain of failure. That's for sure.
Staying on that. So, Alex, what advice would you give an athlete that's looking to start their first business while they're hooping, or they might be done and wrapping their career up? What advice would you give them?
Start something that you feel passionate about that you would do for free, and then build it, because anything that is done just solely for money can't sustain and can't last, because there's nothing behind it. There's and athletes especially, we already are hyper competitive, and there's always a need of, or a feeling of, not good enough, or got to constantly keep getting better. So don't do anything for any other reasons that's going to help you feel fulfilled and self-development. And any good business that could create win-wins and help yourself and help other people is always a great thing to do.
Great advice.
That's a good nugget of advice.
Yeah.
Alex, we're going to enter the final section of our show. It's called the three-peat, where we're just going to ask you three broader questions on life, and
Cool.
the floor is yours to answer in any capacity you wish.
Great.
You ready?
Yeah.
Question number one, and my personal favorite to all of our guests: if you were in a room with everybody you ever met, who would you gravitate to and why?
I think I would gravitate to the people not doing the majority of the talking. the guys in the background, the ones that are analyzing everything that's going on in the room, because 9 times out of 10, those are the most powerful people, and the ones that really truly pull the strings aren't the ones that are in the front.
We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so I agree.
100%.
Alex, if you could fast forward 20 years into the future, how would you want to be described? What is your ideal legacy as an athlete or an individual?
Somebody that can connect people and things and create. That's it. Like, at the end of the day, in 20 years, if my kids are okay with me, I'm happy. That's enough. But I want to be able to connect in enough relationships that it becomes eternal, that everybody is able to do things with or without me being involved. I think that's the most important. So just being the ultimate connector of people.
Final question, Alex. What is a belief you once held firmly that you've since changed, and what experience led to that shift?
The fact that the one belief was that, and it's kind of stems into everything that we talked about, right? Like you work and you work out, you put in this work for basketball, for your career and all these things. And it gives you a false sense of control. The craziest thing that I've learned, and everybody knows this, is that you don't have control. And then the more that you can give in to the fact that everything that happens for a reason, and you just have to be able to maximize each day and the time you have, that's all that really matters. And everything else, and your passion and the things you manifest and where you want to be, will come to you if you project the right things out.
Yo, you can't say it better than that, baby.
That's a mic drop episode ending moment. Alex, I mean, look, I know you have a long and personal friendship with Sam. This is the first time I'm meeting you, but genuinely want to say thank you so much for joining the podcast. I know I'll be seeing a lot more of you in Dubai and the region, but I truly mean it when I say I feel like this episode is going to be one that resonates deeply with a lot of people. So thank you for your time, for being so candid, and for joining us today.
No, I really appreciate it, man. We're all brothers now, and I'll see you soon in the region. I'm very fortunate to have guys like you, and thank you for thinking about me and wanting to have me on. That means a lot.
Alex, I appreciate you, brother, and I'm so excited for what we got coming up for the future, what we're going to be doing on this region together, the collaboration that's coming. Let's get it, baby. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. We got some things coming, man. People will see it soon.
Sir.
It's coming soon.
Yes,
my
sir.
man.
All right, brother.
Appreciate you guys. Yep.
Appreciate you.
Later.
Sam, I know that's your boy, but tell me, anything stand out, surprise you from the episode, anything you want to talk about?
2 things. One, that he didn't play organized basketball till he was 18, although he grew up in the US. Usually you see that in a lot of African kids or anybody that's come from overseas. And the second thing, I did know that he had a great business mind on him, but not to that extent. Great mind on him.
I think for me, the business stuff and the basketball stuff, I think I kind of expected, because I've been trying to do my research on him. But what's going to stick with me for a long time from this episode was his poise and his awareness about, ego, identity, and what it's like to separate that from being a basketball player and looking beyond. And I think the way he spoke about those things candidly is going to make it very relatable for a lot of people that are going to listen to this episode.
I agree 100%. I'm happy he's one of our guests, and I think he is going to do great. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel and like the video.
Wherever you're listening to our podcast, please make sure you subscribe on that platform, because it makes the world of difference for Sam and I.
Aboudi once again, baby. Great episode. Thank you, brother.
Season 1 is done, Sam. Looking forward for season 2.
It's a wrap, baby. I'm so excited for season 2.